Let's turn now to Dr. Paul Offit. He's a member of the FDA Vaccine Advisory Committee and the director of the Children's Vaccination Center at Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. Dr. Offit, thank you so much for being with us on the morning after Christmas. We appreciate it. Let's start with a big picture view of where we are now. There have been some fears, of course, about the holidays, all the gathering, all the traveling with the Omicron variant. Where are we right now in this pandemic, and where do you think we're headed as we turn the corner into a new year?
Right. So Omicron is the most contagious virus to date. It has a doubling time of 2 days. Frankly, it's one of the most contagious respiratory viruses ever. So I think what you're going to see is you're going to see this virus sweep across the country, and then it'll be divided into two parts. The first part will be people who've been vaccinated, who still, despite being vaccinated, may have an asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic infection because this virus is a little off target from vaccine-induced immunity. However, those people will be protected against serious illness. Well, on the other hand, people who are not vaccinated or have not been previously naturally infected could suffer this greatly and be hospitalized and die. So I think that's where it's going to diverge. I do think that by mid-February, things will settle down, as they did last February, when we didn't have really many people who've been vaccinated or naturally infected. I think it's going to dramatically settle down by mid-February. But in the meantime, for the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, if you could just get vaccinated, you could make your life a lot easier.
Well, as you say, the good news is, yes, it's highly contagious, but we're seeing fewer people in hospitals and fewer deaths, largely because of the vaccine. So as we look at some of the results that come out of South Africa, and now we have some case study here in the United States, how dangerous is the Omicron variant as opposed to, say, the Delta variant?
It's a little hard to tell because what you're seeing clearly, both in South Africa and New York City, for example, is that you see this dramatic rise in cases, but you don't concomitantly see as dramatic rise in hospitalizations and deaths. So is that because the virus is just less virulent, or is it because we now have a significant percentage of the population, probably about 80%, that's either been naturally infected or immunized or both, which will blunt then the seriousness of the disease? I think that that it's hard to know. There is one study that has shown that the virus reproduces itself much better in the upper respiratory tract than in the lungs, which supports the notion that it might well be less virulent.
There have been long lines. We saw them even just yesterday for testing in this country. President Biden announced that 500 million test kits would go out to the country. Some people say that's a little late, obviously, for the holidays. Why is it so difficult still in this country, Dr. Offit, to get tested? And what will those 500 million test kits mean to how we diagnose where we are?
I don't know why it's been so difficult to get testing out. Certainly countries like the United Kingdom have had home tests available for their population for a while. My sister, who lives in London, came and visited us a couple of weeks ago, and she brought with her a packet of antigen detection kits that were provided to her for free from her country. We're slow to do this, and this testing means nothing unless you can get that test result back quickly. I mean, you can't wait 2 or 3 days to get your test result back and then have that help you in terms of isolating yourself or quarantining. So we haven't been good at it. I feel like it's a little too late. The good news is vaccines, though, do obviate a lot of that, because at least if you're vaccinated, and let's say if you're vaccinated and have a mild illness, as compared to if you're not vaccinated and have a mild illness, you're much more likely to shed more virus for longer if you're not vaccinated than vaccinated. So again, another strength for vaccination.
Before I let you go, Dr. Offit, you are a pediatrician. A lot of schools are watching these numbers closely as we come out of winter breaks across the country. But we've learned a lot about what happens in schools and what doesn't happen in schools. So how should schools be thinking about their approach now to the new year?
I think we have to do everything we can to keep children in schools. I mean, off-site learning is not nearly equivalent to on-site learning. I know in Philadelphia, for many of these children, it's the only decent meal they get during the day. And certainly child abuse is picked up in school. I mean, last winter, there was supposedly no child abuse in the city of Philadelphia, which obviously wasn't true. And so I think we should do everything we can to keep children in school. And this sort of on-site testing or stay-in-school testing, I think, is a good idea.
Amen to that. Dr. Paul Offit, thanks so much for being with us, and happy holidays to you, sir.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.